century before Beatrix purchased it the year before. The buildings had been allowed to run down, the livestock had been sold when Mr. Preston died, and the whole place wore a sad, neglected look that begged to beg for a cleaning and fixing up. In fact, there seemed to be an endless amount of replacing, repairing, rebuilding, and restocking to do, and to pay for. Beatrix was new to farming. "Nobbut a reet beginner," the Sorry villagers liked to say with a sarcastic chuckle, and every day seemed to bring a different and more costly surprise. Beatrix loved her new farm, but the expenses were certainly beginning to add up. "She's calculating how much those porkers are going to cost before they're bacon," said Tabitha Twitchett, the senior village cat. Tabitha, a calico with an orange and white bib, lived at Bell Green, but, like most of the other village cats, went pretty well anywhere she pleased. "A pretty penny, no doubt," Crumpet commented authoritatively. "Things always cost more than big folks expect." Crumpet, a sleek, smart-looking grey tabby with a red leather collar, was an observant cat who made it her business to know everything that happened in Sorry, and considered herself an expert in practical psychology and the way big folk thought and acted. "Wait until she finds out that pigs never stop eating," Tabitha Twitchett went on with some disdain. "That'll make her think twice." Tabitha liked most barnyard animals, horses, cows, chickens, ducks, and even sheep. But she detested pigs, who, in her view, were greedy, smelly, lazy layabouts who deserved their ultimate fate, served up at the holiday table with an apple in their mouths, or made into rashers and tasty Cumberland sausages. Felicia Frumity daintily licked one ginger-coloured paw. "Mrs. Jennings says that Miss Potter is making a mint of money from those little animal books of hers, so I doubt she'd fuss over the cost of a few pigs." Felicia lived at Hilltop, where she was supposed to be in charge of rat and mouse control. But although she caught one or two just often enough to make people think she was doing her job, the Hilltop rats and mice were mostly left to their own devices. "How much money Miss Potter makes is no business of Mrs. Jennings, and certainly not yours, Felicia Frumity," Crumpet growled. It was her belief that Felicia, who'd been only a ginger cat with no particular claim to distinction before Miss Potter came along and gave her a clever name, had begun to put on airs, as if being the chief cat at Hilltop had some special merit. "Especially since you don't bother to earn your keep," she added with a sniff. Cats who were derelict in their duties were beneath contempt, in her opinion. "I do too earn my keep," Felicia retorted, narrowing her eyes. "I caught a mouse just yesterday, and anyway, what right do you have to criticise me?" "She has every right," Tabitha said slyly. "For one thing, she's much older than you are." "Older?" Crumpet spat. "I'm not a day older than that hussy." "Call me names, will you?" Felicia snarled, unsheathing her claws. "Why, I'll—" "Hold on!" the farmer cried. "Hold that flaysome din!" He threw a dirt clod at the animals, who scampered away to the safety of the stone wall. To Beatrix he said, "Ben Hornby is selling off some of his Herdwick ewes and lambs at Hollyhow Farm. He keeps good sheep, Ben does, and I've bought 2 of his ewes and their lambs to increase the flock here, 5 all told. Like to drive up there with me tomorrow afternoon to have a look at 'em before Ben brings them down here?" "Yes, indeed," Beatrix replied promptly. Mr. Hornby was reputed to breed the best Herdwicks in the district. Having Ben Hornby's Herdwicks in her flock would mean a fine crop of lambs next spring. Hearing the clang of milk pails, she turned to look toward the farmhouse, where Mrs. Jennings was rinsing buckets under the outdoor pump. The 17th century house was built of Lake District stone, in traditional Lake District style, with a slate roof and slate-capped chimneys, 8/8 mullioned windows, and a simple porch. A plain, rather austere little house, some might think, but pure in its simplicity, and already very dear to Beatrix.